And welcome back. In this video tutorial, we'll be showing you how to use the optional staffing prompt that is available in the tablet MDT version of StreetWise CADlink. Now, we know from previous video tutorials that when we're on the tactical map in StreetWise CADlink and we're looking at other units that are on the map, that we can simply tap on that unit to bring up additional information about that particular device. So for instance, here we tap on Assistant Chief Binstead and we see that it's a chief officer vehicle, first responder level of EMS, and the staffing is currently listed at 1. That same information on staffing also appears in the responder panel if Assistant Chief Binstead is en route to the same call that we are. Now the question is, where does that staffing information come from? Well, there's two sources for that. One is that we can set a default staffing for any unit in our agency with the administrative web portal in StreetWise CADlink. So we can go into each device and we can set a default staffing for them. Now this works pretty well for career departments where they're going to have the same level of staffing all the time on that vehicle. They can simply set the default staffing and leave it there all the time. But for departments that are volunteer or paid on call, sometimes the staffing number varies significantly. So we now have the ability for you to set any specific device to require a staffing prompt when they mark en route. Now we'll show you how that works here on this tablet. We have this particular device set to require that staffing prompt. Now when I go from available into en route status, you can see that there's a pop-up staffing prompt asking me to set the staffing level for this particular truck. So at that time I can put the actual head count of the people that I have on the vehicle at that time, and I can set it right here simply by pressing, for instance, 4, and that will set the staffing for that particular truck for this call. So for an example, just to show you an example of this, we're going to have Assistant Chief Binstead also mark en route to this same call with a staffing of 3. Let's say they were coming from the station and there were some additional personnel available at the station, so they piled into the chief's car. So now we see, because that has come bold, that AC Binstead is now on the same call that we are. So we're going to tap on the Assistant Chief vehicle here, and now we see that the staffing level for this vehicle has changed to 3. That is a way that we can see the current staffing. So here we see in the responder panel that same information is available. Truck 5 is en route with a staffing of 4, and Assistant Chief Binstead is en route with a staffing of 3. So this is particularly useful for departments where the number of staff on a truck may vary significantly from, say, 1 all the way up to 6 or 7, depending on who's available at any given time for that call. So it's a useful option to implement for your department if you're volunteer or paid on call. Now, to learn how to set the configuration for the devices to require that staffing prompt at the time they mark en route, you'll look at another video tutorial under the administrative web portal.